This is the government news brief for Friday, December 18, 2015. In the news, government looking to push ecotourism, training of indigenous women to be the focus for the next 5 years, and the role of the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency is under review. With these and other stories, I am Azim Khan. The ecotourism industry is growing and is expected to contribute to the conservation of the largely intact natural environment. In the past years, the number of resorts and lodges has increased, offering adventure and ecotourists a different experience. The administration has plans to further develop this industry, as we hear in this Shanta Gobadan report.
The plans to advance Guyana's tourism sector will certainly have an emphasis on sustainable tourism, even as the coalition government is pursuing a green economy.
People don't realize that the ecotourism industry is still the fastest growing industry in the bigger tourism model. But for ecotourism, there are some very specific things that need to go with that. So the whole issue of organic, the whole issue of sustainable tourism, and in most places of the world, there are few models that can really be called ecotourism. And therefore, it's a process of growth. And so we want to say that it's more sustainable tourism. Right now, it's adventure tourism. But we want to identify, with the recent study we did, a few pockets that we're going to be able to sell to the world. This is a real ecotourism experience.
Last month, the Ministry of Tourism completed an assessment of the ecotourism sector and identified ways and areas of further development. Ecotourism has been targeted as one of the more important niche markets which the government intends to fully promote.
One of the very important things we're focusing on is in each region identifying the opportunities for tourism, the products, the businesses that could be developed with assistance from the private sector. So we did that initiative in Region 8. I personally went out to Region 10 on 2 occasions, and we've looked at possibilities there. To go hand in hand with that, I also went to the Rupununi area, Sarama and Rewa, looking at their community tourism model, which is an excellent model that can be duplicated elsewhere.
Ecotourism has been touted as one of the many unique niches for Destination Guyana. This is attributed to the fact that Guyana is endowed with massive pristine tracts of tropical rainforest, numerous species of biodiversity, amazing wildlife, majestic rivers and waterfalls, mountain ranges, savannas, wetlands, and indigenous communities with low-carbon lifestyles. With this government news brief, I'm Shanta Gobadan reporting.
Shanta Gobadan now reports that the Department of Culture, Youth and Sport of the Ministry of Education is now modernizing its skills training programs. This is to bring them in line with the demands of today's employers.
The government is conducting a review of the curriculum for TechVoc training institutions. According to a minister within the Ministry of Education, Nicolette Henry, this is to ensure that they are in keeping with what is happening at other technical institutions around the region. According to Henry, there is technical support from international agencies such as UNICEF and the Canadian High Commission to design programs that create a youth who can function in the workplace not only in Guyana but globally as well.
At this point in time, it's not additions. It is just reworking what we're currently providing to improve content so that outcomes can be better and more suited for the working environment. One of the additions, not in terms of course, but in terms of content that we have taken a lot of time to get integrated, is that of work attachment and exposure for young people prior to being formally employed.
Henry, who heads the Department of Culture, Youth and Sport, said they are collaborating with several companies to expand and strengthen the work attachment aspect of training. This is to ensure that trainees have greater exposure to the working environment prior to becoming employed.
We saw the opportunity to strengthen what was already in existence. Therefore, the number of companies that we now have that relationship would increase. In addition to the number of companies, the number of persons per company will also increase.
The Ministry of Education is hoping that more companies would come on board to have persons apprenticed. For the Government News Brief, I'm Shanti Goberdan reporting.
In this Shivani Rampasad report, we hear that the Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Sidney Alicock, is looking to review the Amerindian Peoples Act.
The ministry is currently in consultations with stakeholders on fine-tuning and renaming the Amerindian Act, as government work towards creating a level playing field for all Guyanese.
We are in the process of having this discussion with other stakeholders because we do not want to do it on our own here. We need to get the feedback from all the various players before we decide on how we move forward with this. But definitely it is in the plan to do so, because we found that in some part of it it's not as strong as we anticipated. Well, not anticipated, but not as strong as we would have liked it to be.
According to the subject minister, this move is to ensure that the country's first people benefit from full security and enjoy equal rights as the rest of the population, especially as it relates to their communities and mining operators going in and taking over. For this Government News Brief, Shivani Rampasad reporting.
Special emphasis will be placed on empowering Indigenous women over the next 5 years. This is to ensure that they are better equipped to contribute to their own development and to that of their country.
Government is cognizant of the role of women in maintaining the family. In the hinterland, the role of women in their family's upkeep is more difficult due to the occupation of their spouses. As such, special emphasis will be placed on empowering Indigenous women.
Most of the time our men, they have to leave to go and do mining, they have to go and do logging, wherever. They have to go and find jobs far away. So our women are left there to fend for their children, for the family. They have to send their children to school, find food for them, clothe them, and everything. So when we empower our women, we're empowering the family and the community. So supporting our women is top priority for us.
The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs will be holding empowerment programs in hinterland communities. Women will receive training in areas such as tourism, sewing, agriculture, arts and craft, among others.
Our government is in support. We fully support women. And Indigenous women, they are now getting the chance to let's say, to live a better life, to work towards a better life, for the simple reason that the projects that they are being funded for, the projects, it's of their own choosing. We are not telling them you must do this or you must do that. They know the needs in their villages, so they would say, well, this is what I want to do.
Indigenous women have been urged to identify what are the needs in the community and submit proposals for a project of their choice. The ministry will then look at how it can assist in their realization. For the Government News Brief, I am Suniko Thorne.
Government is working to minimize unemployment in the country. One of the initiatives being employed is the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency. More in this report.
Efforts are on the way to update and expand the operations of the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency so that it can better serve the public. This process would be driven by a survey to determine the true state of unemployment locally.
And we're looking also to deal with unemployment in the country, and at the end of our 5 years we could give accurate stats, because the statistical department is up and functioning. We are expanding all those departments so that you can get real numbers and not just pulling numbers out of the sky like what was happening in Ghana in the past. We ought to have a decent, arrangement, and we're talking about transparency, and the government definitely is holding up and standing up to that.
It is believed that the local unemployment figures are high, and mostly young people are falling into the category. Expanding the role of the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency across the country would put job seekers and the job providers in contact with each other.
We have been placing, yes, we have placed persons. We want to place more persons. And now the companies, they're excited because they never, it was well on the plate. And in fact, they never knew that there's a recruitment and manpower section. And lots of Guyanese don't know about it either, so they're not going in to register. So now that the companies, they said they're more happy to know that they could just call in, a section right here and to have persons.
Government intends to expand the services of the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency to regions 1, 3, 7, 8, 9, and 10 with a view to increasing its presence throughout the country.
That has brought us to the end of the government news brief for Friday, December 18, 2015. Check out our other programs on our website. You can also find us on Facebook and on YouTube. Remember to send us your Guyana Nice photo. Here is ours.